there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news, everything you could possibly need to know about Samantha Irvin leaving WWE.
Lillian Garcia makes a surprise Raw return.
A major WWE return is now off the board.
And the dead man is respecting the business again in NXT.
I'm Andy.
I'm Michael.
And this is the news. Here comes the dead man. Right. Let's start this one off by talking about Samantha Irvin. A very surprising thing to break yesterday evening, about 7 o'clock UK time, mere hours before Raw begins, where you'd expect to hear her tones all night, doing the ring announcing. She's gone. Samantha Irvin's gone from WWE. She posted this to social media, stating, WWE Universe, my time has come to an end as your Monday Night Raw ring announcer. I love you all tremendously, and this does not mark the end of my art. I have a lifetime more to share. Thank you to every WWE fan who accepted me. She posted a lengthy bunch of thanks to specific people and departments and various others in the company. There's a whole lot of them, more than we could possibly recite. And she kind of wrapped it up by saying, to my fans, my entire career, I've been waiting for you. We are meant to be, and I can prove it. Stay tuned. All my love, and still, Samantha. So, didn't take long for the scoops to start coming out, because in her departure notes, Samantha Irvin didn't note why she was departing. She didn't note her next move. Obviously, all of this is her prerogative to share. We're not entitled to that information. She can hold on to and share whatever the heck she wants. And also, I think that people should probably leave Ricochet alone and not online bully him by saying my favourite ring announcer left because of you. That's really weird.
Please. Got a lot of replies to do.
Yeah,
24 hours,
that poor guy. Please just leave him alone. It's really strange. But WrestleVotes posted shortly after this saying, I'm told the news of Samantha Irvin leaving the company has genuinely shocked a lot of people backstage at Raw in Philly this afternoon. Fightful Select came through with a big report, bunch of stuff in here. Staff were surprised, obviously, everyone was. Like, who saw this coming? Yeah. Believing that she couldn't have possibly told everyone in the company before she left. One called her a presence that made the work day better. Others claim to have known this was coming for about a month or so now. AEW sources did not give answers when they were asked, before press time, when they were asked about whether or not she was going to be brought in. WWE and AEW sources would be shocked if some kind of attempt wasn't at least made. And many people are surprised, but others were expectant that she would leave when Ricochet, her fiance, left. Yeah. Ricochet on Twitter has explicitly said she's not going to AEW, but you know, wrestlers are wrestlers sometimes. Yeah. They, you know, if she was going to AEW, I very much doubt that he would come out and go, yes, she is.
Yeah, of course,
and just spoil the whole thing. So it's an interesting one for sure. It comes out of nowhere. She's got a voice that is immediately associated with this era of WWE. I think that, I mean, that's just really the gist of it. She was like, ring announcers, referees, they're not protagonists on this show. They're not, you know, Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns and all these other people. But they do add something for sure. They are an important and integral part, especially the ring announcers. Their job is to make this thing feel like a big, important ceremony, and Samantha Irvin's work resonated with, I mean, universally praised.
Yeah, it was pretty much instant last night when the news broke. There was so many people, like, obviously were, like, sharing their favourite calls that she's made. There was loads of, like, sharing of, like, when the Bloodline broke big in 2022, especially with Sami Zayn, she did the individual announcements of all the names. You've got this year's WrestleMania announcements, where, like, Cody Rhodes won the title, and she was, like, visibly emotional. When Damian Priest cashed in on the same night, and she's barely, like, sort of able to catch up with herself because she's so excited.
So what the hell's going on?
Yeah, like, I think there was, like, something, I don't know, there was some nice synergy between the personality that Samantha Irvin brought to the role and the freedom that was being permitted to the likes of announcers, referees, commentators when Triple H took over versus the micromanagement of the Vince McMahon era. Look, WWE and wrestling companies and all that sort of stuff are not family. I don't like family being used in corporate terms, but I think it is fair to call them a team. And I think sometimes you do associate a winning team with all of its individual players. And like you say, it's not just about the wrestlers. Everybody is part of a show. You know, there will be a generation of fans our age that talk extensively about the work of Howard Finkel. And it feels as though the order now goes Howard Finkel, Samantha Irvin. She's made that much of an impact to that many fans in a boom period and a huge era for WWE. This feels significant. This genuinely felt... I'm a massive WWE fan. I'm a specific fan of this era, and I've loved seeing this current boom of WWE. And it does honestly feel like they've lost one of their core players of the team. She has become part of the furniture there, and I mean that in the most complimentary sense. And it was strange to head into a Monday Night Raw to see the amount of characters and the amount of wrestlers that have gotten over not being announced by her. We're going to get to WWE's at least short-term solution in a second, but
you think about people like Chelsea Green and the little flavours that she added.
It is, I think, like now when there is a commentary change or when there is an announcer change, I think at this point the investment in this era of WWE is so high that a minor change feels major. It's not the case as much when business is down or when enthusiasm is down, but again, I think like it's the best possible time if you're in WWE to be able to make that impact and make that name. So whatever she does next, inside or out of wrestling, I think she's going to have a massive amount of support from the people that are just excited to see her again. The AEW thing is interesting, obviously, because they've got well-established ring announcers, and someone like Justin Roberts, for example, who has kind of like been there since the very beginning in AEW. I do wonder if there are fans that would associate him similarly with AEW in the same way, that would then feel a bit aggrieved if he was just like moved aside. Wrestling can be a difficult industry like that sometimes, I guess. So I don't know if it's just as cut and dried as an AEW thing so much as a wrestling thing. Renee Paquette, we said we wondered if she would like leave wrestling. She ultimately ended up in AEW, another beloved figure that wasn't a wrestler but meant just as much. So but I think it'll be exciting to see what she does next, and I wouldn't necessarily rule out a WWE return because, as we'll see, people do come back.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, she had a music career before wrestling. Was it a Michael Jackson tribute act or something like that? She toured as the lead singer of, and
she made it big through America's Got Talent as well, I think.
Yeah. So like she could play the flute as well.
She's got a child. She's got a relationship. It's a demanding life.
She's got a lot going on. She's got a lot of things. She's got a lot of tools in her shed, Samantha Irvin. So it doesn't necessarily need to be that she goes to another wrestling company and becomes their announcer. She might just do something else with her life, and more power to her. I think that when you're in a role like a ring announcer or a commentator or a referee or whatever, it's not necessarily a role that requires like you to be a character or demonstrate unique traits. But I think if you go out of your way to add those things, like Samantha Irvin did, like Howard Finkel did, like many referees like Nick Patrick and Earl Hebner and Aubrey Edwards today, if you're in like one of those tertiary roles and you decide that, hey, I'm going to add a bit of colour to this, a bit of flavour, that's a great thing. I think ultimately when it comes to ring announcers, for most people, your favourite will be the unique voice that you heard when you were like super engaged and growing up a lot of the time. So for me, it is Howard Finkel. That'll never change. You could scientifically prove that some announcer who comes along 20 years from now is better than Howard Finkel at everything, and I'd still be like, nah, it's the Fink Man. And Samantha Irvin is that for a lot of people. I think a lot of people have come back to the WWE product during this era, and they're going to associate her voice with that forever, and her calls and all of that stuff. So yeah, like you can't argue with the volume of people she connected with. The proof is in the response to this, and the clips of her, like the ringside clips of her going viral constantly. Like she's nailed it out of the park. She knocked it out of the park. She will be spoken of with great reverence by WWE fans when it comes to this era and when it comes to the all-time great ring announcers. So shout-outs to her. Best wishes on whatever the next move is. I'm sure she'll just connect in the same way that she did with this. But also, all you strange people online, stop harassing people. Just leave people alone. Let them do their thing, please.
Somebody that was very nice to Samantha Irvin, very recently, in fact, on WWE TV, was Lillian Garcia. Samantha Irvin, in response, said, you paved the way, passing the torch, all that sort of thing. Well, the torch was passed back because Lillian Garcia last night made a surprise appearance on WWE Raw. Joe Tessitore at the start of the show did the sort of we wish, it didn't say future endeavours, but we wish Samantha Irvin the very best and all that sort of stuff. And now welcoming everybody to Lillian Garcia, and there she was at ringside, a bit of a surprise, obviously. Per that report, obviously, that WWE, maybe some people within the company were surprised Samantha Irvin was leaving. I don't know if they were just able to work a bit of television magic and get Lillian to the arena. Maybe people knew in advance and she was there present, whatever. She was on TV very recently in a role just in the crowd, so she's made the odd appearance here and there, but she was back in a kind of old familiar role as the Raw ring announcer for all of the show last night. Again, somebody that like through, I would say, like more tumultuous times for WWE rather than Samantha Irvin's period. Lillian Garcia was a voice of the company intermittently between 1999 and 2016. She did leave for a period, but then did a few cover spots and then actually came back and had like a second long-term run with the company in the late 2010s. So yeah, she was back on Raw last night. There was no word if she will be the permanent Raw ring announcer. WWE currently has Alicia Taylor on SmackDown and former Raw ring announcer Mike Rome back in NXT. The Performance Center now brings up commentators and announcers as well as wrestlers, so there might be people in the background currently at the Performance Center that we're not aware of. So no confirmation yet if there's going to be a reshuffle or Lillian Garcia is back permanently in the role. Again, she was featured in the crowd recently alongside a bunch of legends and Hall of Famers, and it's the sort of thing where like you could see this as a bit of a tee up to maybe a Hall of Fame role for herself, for longevity and tenure and all that sort of thing. But yeah, did Raw last night, got a big reaction. I guess in a moment that I guess was high profile because people would have been keen to see what WWE were going to do with the Samantha Irvin shaped hole.
They probably are going to bring someone in full time, obviously. I wonder if it'll be Lillian or maybe one of the existing people, like you said, and maybe you could use that if you're going to pull Mike Rome back up, for example, then someone else steps in NXT, and then when it's Mike Rome's day to go or whatever, that person steps up and you get a new person coming in, like a little rotation pyramid kind of thing where you move up and all that. Who knows? I think it'd be really cool if they spent the next month doing like a greatest hits of ring announcers. Like we've just had Lillian, and Lillian's great. Again, one of the voices of my childhood and all that on wrestling. What's Tony Chimmel up to these days?
What is Tony Chimmel up to these days?
Give him a bell. Go, hey, Tone, you wanna do the show Monday night? We could get Howard Finkel, sadly no longer with us. We could get Luke Gallows doing his voice. I don't know.
I love that.
That'd be a little bit disrespectful, perhaps.
I don't know. They've been down in NXT a little while, and I think that could be done affectionately. I wouldn't mind that.
I think it would be. Yeah, you do a good job. Put him in the suit and everything.
Yeah.
Andrew, one more thing. Watch out for that choke slam.
What was the name of that awesome guy in ECW? I've forgotten his name now. I apologise for the disrespect. He would just, he would scream out their names like that. NXT going to be running the ECW arena. Joel Gertner might be. I met Joel Gertner over WrestleMania weekend. He couldn't have been a nicer fella. And then he goes out and does his absolute vulgarity as a ringer.
I was going to say, was he a stud muffin?
Quintessential. He was a quintessential stud muffin to me and my cousin. Super friendly. And then he got out there and respected the business and character. Get him for the ECW arena NXT.
Bruce Buffer, is he still work for the UFC? I don't know.
So you say the Buffer family at large was sad to see Samantha Irvin go?
Big Mike was on Twitter. Yeah, he was paying tribute to her, saying he was really sad. Get Bruce in. He can do his little. I haven't watched UFC in a long time, but he used to do this thing where he'd do like a 360 spin, point at the guy, and be like, "Fighting out of the red card." He was awesome.
Yeah, they can get Michael Buffer in for a Canadian Raw, and he can introduce Brett Clark.
Good grief. Right, let's talk about that's one for you old heads out there. Major WWE return is now off the board, thank God. So a bunch of stuff has come out about this lately. We've covered a few of them, but PW Insider have chimed in next. Mike Johnson and his maniac boss. I'll just read this to you. PW Insider Elite, Brock Lesnar, WWE, not happening. Mike does great work, by the way. There have been zero discussions between Lesnar and the company over a return. Brock is off the board. Any references to him from wrestlers or the commentary team are just to accentuate current stories and nothing else. So if you hear his name mentioned, it doesn't necessarily mean anything. With regards to a return, Brock was obviously implicated in the sex trafficking lawsuit against Vince McMahon, WWE, and John Laurinaitis, Janelle Grant. So yeah, I think that the cold reality of stuff like this is it's really simple, right? If WWE, as a gigantic corporate entity, think that they can bring Brock Lesnar back, and the outrage won't be greater than whatever they think they can benefit from it, they will do it.
Yeah.
They will do it. We might not ever get to that point, right? And for me, good. Like, I don't want to see someone who has been implicated in something so ghoulish ever, personally. So whatever you might... And it's really... I don't know if it's just naivety or what, but it's or something more like flippant. But like, I hate going online and suddenly someone's made a graphic for what if Brock returns on the Netflix debut and stuff like that. It's just like, I don't know. I think a more thoughtful approach would be appropriate to stuff like this. But yeah, I mean, they will eventually do it if they think they can get away with it, is the cold, brutal truth of the matter. But I personally wouldn't, and I would be. I don't want to see him again, personally.
Agree. And speaking of cold, brutal truths, I think much of that used to be rooted in the fact that Brock Lesnar was a needle mover, was a guy that like generated business, all those sort of things. While we're in sort of, the reality of capitalism, as you lay out there with WWE, the organisation as they are currently don't even need him for those. Yeah. Like, it'd be one thing if it was like, right, he's going to turn the wheels for the business again, as he often used to do. It's just not the case anymore. Like, I'm with you. I don't particularly need Brock Lesnar, and I think he would actually impact my enjoyment negatively rather than adding to my experience of watching WWE, because, like, now there is all of this attached to seeing him on screen. But the fact is, that was a... I think we used the phrase last week, break glass in emergency. That was Brock Lesnar once upon a time. There are no emergencies that WWE need to break the glass for right now, and there hasn't been for the longest time. If anything, he becomes... I know we talk about selection headaches when wrestlers become available when they're back from injury, but this is a different beast, no pun intended. Why would you want to give yourself a selection headache for somebody that also gives you a potential moral outrage? If you're being, whether you take a moral stance, whether you're being a brutal pragmatist, I just do not think there are positives to this at all.
No, I agree. And look, it's not an organisation of many scruples, right? No. The next pay-per-view, they're getting paid $50 million. You know what they're getting paid to do that for. This is an organisation that, whether you think it was on purpose or accidental, directly recreated a scene from Janelle Grant's lawsuit in a segment with Liv Morgan, Dominic Mysterio on the Judgment Day, showing pictures on the phone. So, in that scenario, they were either taking the piss out of it, or they were just dumb and didn't think. If you want to give them that benefit of the doubt. This is also a company, like, last night's show had bloody Carlito saying, I gotta learn Chinese in a segment with Japanese wrestlers. So, it's wrestling. It's not this...
it's a tone-deaf business at the best of times,
really is. It really is at all levels. Those are just some recent examples. Wrestling history is full of these things. Again, like... As someone who formerly a big enjoyer of Brock Lesnar's work, I'm done. See you later.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess as you say, like, they like to use time and they like to use people's like sort of short memories, or how much they love like the fictional characters. Yeah. We've seen countless examples of people like returning to the fold. Someone like a Hulk Hogan, they almost snuck back in, didn't they, post scandal? So this sort of stuff is never over. But yeah, I guess we'll see on that one. Maybe what they will do with Brock Lesnar, if they want to sneak him back in, is do it through the side entrance of the Performance Centre, because that's where the Dead Man will be riding his beautiful Titan back through on October 30th. That's right. On the post-Halloween Havoc edition of NXT, The Undertaker will be making his return to the brand. Of course, he last appeared last year during the Tuesday Night War that went up against NXT, where they hilariously stacked it full of basically every big name from their past. He, if you recall, the Dead Man put over Braun Breaker by chokeslamming his dead ass. Because that's what constitutes getting somebody over, I guess. He did, to be fair, he did endorse Carmelo Hayes that night as well when he was still a babyface. So presumably he will do something like similar like that.
Some have called Carmelo Hayes the next Undertaker. So.
Well, indeed, yeah. They've got very much similar gimmicks. I mean, my eyes certainly rolled watching Carmelo Hayes in NXT. He's much better now. But anyway, Undertaker will be on the show at the Performance Centre, presumably doing some seminars in the daytime for anybody who wants to learn about respect. He's going to be playing bones with all the veterans. Who knows, he might do one of his podcasts with Shawn Michaels and boot us out the number one slot for yet another week. I'm sure his Trump thing's still doing numbers, but yeah.
Beating our ass.
It's another big month for NXT. Obviously the post-election special of because of all television being moved on the Tuesday night, we'll have another head-to-head with NXT and AEW. NXT are going to be running the ECW Arena, in what again should be another like kind of themed show.
Everyone should run the ECW Arena. Man.
I think it is an incredible optics victory, considering we have seen images of Tony Khan in there. You have to wonder how that wasn't done when the opportunity was available, because It's an incredible building, a religious experience. I recommend anybody go, and I wish I could get over there for NXT of all things in it.
Why aren't more people running the Hammerstein in New York?
Yeah, it's it. We've got GCW there in the new year, making their owning how much they
self-awareness
the last time. So yeah, curious to see what the Undertaker does. Let us know in the comments section who from NXT in particular you would like to see him interact with. I still want to see Andre Chase try and get a Chase U jersey over that big dead ass. But
to the dead man wearing a big red jumper.
I'm doing a straight up tombstone on Obafemi, just putting the Giants of tomorrow in their place.
They gotta learn to respect weirdness. It's the Undertaker, isn't it? I popped her at WrestleMania. I can't lie.
Yeah,
it's just
that's how it works.
It's like involuntary, isn't it? You just hear this bit and you go, I feel a bit dirty now. Jokes aside, it'll be fun, I guess. Fun. It's like a bit of ultimately.
We have a laugh, but people love him.
People.
He's not my guy. People love him. So
yeah, exactly. He still connects with loads of people. Mm-hmm. Like we saw it this week with when the Trump video came out with him and Kane. You got a lot of people going. I think there was swings in both directions. There was people pretending the Undertaker never had a good match, which is very silly.
It's nonsense. I'd like to fight. It's fun.
Yeah. Very good. But then you got like 1,000 more going, shut up. I like the Undertaker, shut up. So, and ultimately, look, who even remember? I forgot about him chokeslamming Braun Breaker until he said now. Who even remembers that stuff, right? Who even remembers that stuff 3 months later? We live in an era where none of our brains retain information, so you can basically do whatever the heck you want to do. Probably, I don't know, fantasy book The Undertaker's appearance down below. What do you want to see him do? Him and Paxley could hang out there. They're spooky.
This is it, not? There's many characters out there. It's we've never seen him interact with the family yet. It's from a time that he was. Hey, I get it, Murphy. I used to be an undead magic zombie wizard, so I get it. Yeah, he's kind of embracing the more biker side of his life now. But I look forward to it. I can't wait.
All right. Bye. Here's the video.